Maya had always been the type of person who couldn't resist a good prank. At 23, she worked as a receptionist at Greenfield Mall, where she spent most of her days watching people come and go. The job was boring, but it paid the bills while she saved money for college. What made her days bearable was her mischievous nature and the way she could find humor in the smallest things. The mall had 3 security guards who worked different shifts. There was Tom, an older man who was always serious and barely spoke to anyone. There was Jake, a young guy fresh out of college who was friendly but tried too hard to be tough. And then there was Marcus, the afternoon shift guard who had become the target of Maya's playful attention. Marcus was in his 40s with graying hair and a thick, well-groomed mustache that he was incredibly proud of. Every morning, Maya watched him arrive at work and head straight to the men's restroom. She could hear the sound of an electric trimmer through the thin walls as he carefully maintained his facial hair. He would emerge 15 minutes later, running his fingers along his mustache to make sure every hair was in place. Maya found his obsession with his mustache both amusing and oddly endearing. She had tried to strike up conversations with him, but Marcus was always professional and kept their interactions brief. He would nod politely when she greeted him, check his watch, and continue on his rounds. This formal behavior only made Maya more determined to break through his serious exterior. One Tuesday afternoon, Maya was particularly bored. The mall was nearly empty except for a few elderly people doing their daily walks and some teenagers hanging around the food court. She had finished all her paperwork early and was mindlessly scrolling through her phone when she saw Marcus walk by, stroking his mustache as usual. An idea suddenly popped into her head. Maya remembered seeing a fake mustache in the novelty store on the 2nd floor during her lunch break the previous week. It was part of a costume kit, and it looked remarkably similar to Marcus's real mustache, just slightly more exaggerated and obviously fake. Without thinking too much about the consequences, Maya decided to buy the fake mustache. She told her supervisor she needed to run a quick errand and headed upstairs to the novelty store. The teenage clerk barely looked up from his comic book as she purchased the item, along with some spirit gum adhesive. Back at her desk, Maya waited for the right moment. Marcus always took his dinner break at exactly 6:30, which gave her about 30 minutes to execute her plan. She had noticed that he always hung his security jacket on the back of his chair in the small security office, which was visible from her reception desk. When Marcus left for his break, Maya quickly made her way to the security office. Her heart was pounding with excitement and nervousness as she carefully attached the fake mustache to the inside collar of his jacket using the spirit gum. She positioned it so that when he put the jacket on, the fake mustache would dangle just below his real one, creating a comical double mustache effect. Maya hurried back to her desk and pretended to be busy with paperwork. She kept glancing at the clock, counting down the minutes until Marcus would return. She imagined his reaction and couldn't help but giggle to herself. She pictured him walking around the mall, completely unaware of the ridiculous addition to his appearance, while shoppers tried to hide their smiles. At exactly 7 o'clock, Marcus returned from his break carrying a coffee and what looked like a sandwich wrapper. Maya watched as he entered the security office and reached for his jacket. She held her breath, waiting for him to notice the fake mustache, but he simply slipped his arms into the sleeves and zipped up the jacket without looking down. As Marcus emerged from the office and began his evening rounds, Maya could barely contain her laughter. The fake mustache was perfectly positioned and swayed slightly as he walked, creating exactly the effect she had hoped for. A few shoppers did double takes as he passed by, and Maya noticed a group of teenagers near the fountain pointing and whispering. For the first hour, Marcus remained completely oblivious to his enhanced appearance. He conducted his security checks with his usual seriousness, walking through each store and nodding to the employees. Maya watched his every move, delighting in the confused and amused expressions of the people he encountered. It wasn't until Marcus stopped to help an elderly woman find the pharmacy that things began to unravel. The woman, who was apparently very nearsighted, leaned in close to thank him and suddenly stepped back with a startled expression. She pointed at his jacket and said something that Maya couldn't hear from her distance, but she could see Marcus looking down at himself with confusion. Maya watched as Marcus discovered the fake mustache dangling from his collar. His face went through a series of expressions, Confusion, realization, and then something that looked like a mixture of embarrassment and annoyance. He carefully removed the fake mustache, examining it closely before looking around the mall as if trying to identify the culprit. From her desk, Maya tried to look busy and innocent, but she could feel Marcus's eyes scanning the area. When his gaze landed on her, she gave him a cheerful wave and a bright smile, as if nothing had happened. Marcus stared at her for a long moment, and Maya could see him connecting the dots. Instead of approaching her immediately, Marcus tucked the fake mustache into his pocket and continued his rounds. But Maya noticed that his demeanor had changed. There was something different in the way he carried himself, and when he passed by her desk, he gave her a look that was hard to read. It wasn't anger exactly, but it wasn't amusement either. Maya began to wonder if she had crossed a line. What had seemed like a harmless prank now felt like it might have consequences she hadn't considered. She spent the rest of her shift trying to act normal, but she couldn't shake the feeling that Marcus was planning something in return. The next morning, Maya arrived at work feeling a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. She had spent the previous evening wondering how Marcus would react to her prank. Part of her hoped he would see the humor in it, while another part worried that she might have embarrassed him too much in front of the mall visitors. As she settled into her desk and booted up her computer, Maya kept glancing toward the security office, waiting for Marcus to arrive for his shift. Tom, the morning security guard, was already making his rounds, his usual stern expression giving no indication that he knew anything about the previous day's incident. At exactly 2 o'clock, Marcus walked through the main entrance. Maya watched him carefully, trying to gauge his mood from his body language. He looked the same as always. Professional uniform, perfectly combed hair, and that meticulously groomed mustache. But there was something different about the way he carried himself. A slight spring in his step that hadn't been there before. Instead of heading directly to the security office as he usually did, Marcus walked straight to Maya's reception desk. She looked up with what she hoped was an innocent expression, her heart racing as he approached. "Good afternoon, Maya," Marcus said, his voice carrying a tone she had never heard from him before. It was friendly, almost playful. "Hi, Marcus," Maya replied, trying to sound casual. "How are you today?" "I'm doing very well, thank you for asking." Marcus leaned against her desk, something he had never done in all the months she had worked there. "I had quite an interesting evening yesterday. Very educational, you might say." Maya felt her cheeks getting warm. "Oh, what happened?" Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out the fake mustache, placing it gently on her desk. "I found this attached to my jacket. Quite creative, actually. I have to admit, it took me a while to notice it." Maya stared at the fake mustache, unsure of how to respond. She had expected anger, maybe a stern lecture about professional behavior, but Marcus seemed almost amused. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I was just trying to have a little fun. I didn't mean to embarrass you." "Embarrass me?" Marcus chuckled, a sound Maya had never heard from him before. "Maya, I've been working security for 15 years. Trust me, it takes more than a fake mustache to embarrass me. But I do have to say it was quite ingenious. The placement was perfect." Maya looked up at him, surprised by his reaction. "You're not angry?" "Angry? No. Impressed? Absolutely. But you know what they say about turnabout being fair play." Marcus's eyes twinkled with something that looked suspiciously like mischief. Before Maya could ask what he meant, Marcus straightened up and headed toward the security office. "Have a good afternoon, Maya, and keep an eye out for anything unusual today." The rest of Maya's shift passed uneventfully, but Marcus's parting words kept echoing in her mind. She found herself looking over her shoulder and jumping at unexpected sounds. Every time Marcus walked by her desk during his rounds, he gave her a knowing smile that made her increasingly nervous. When her shift ended at 6 o'clock, Maya gathered her things and headed toward the employee exit. As she passed the security office, she noticed Marcus was on the phone, but he waved at her through the window. She waved back, still puzzled by his unexpectedly good-natured reaction to her prank. Maya spent the evening trying to figure out what Marcus might be planning. She replayed their conversation over and over, analyzing every word and expression. The phrase "turnabout being fair play" particularly stuck with her, making her wonder what kind of revenge he might be plotting. The next morning, Maya arrived at work to find a small gift bag on her desk with a note attached. The note was written in Marcus's neat handwriting. Thank you for reminding me not to take myself too seriously. I thought you might enjoy this. Inside the bag was a collection of novelty items from the same store where she had bought the fake mustache. A whoopee cushion, a rubber chicken, and a pair of glasses with a fake nose attached. Maya couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. Maybe she had misjudged Marcus completely. Throughout the day, Maya found herself looking forward to Marcus's arrival. She was curious to see how their dynamic would change now that they had broken through the professional barrier that had existed between them. She even practiced a few things she might say to thank him for the gifts and apologize again for the prank. But when 2 o'clock came and went, Marcus was nowhere to be seen. Maya checked the schedule board and confirmed that he was supposed to work the afternoon shift. By 2:30, she was starting to worry that something had happened to him. At exactly 3 o'clock, a woman Maya had never seen before walked into the mall wearing a security uniform. She was tall and athletic-looking, with short dark hair and a no-nonsense expression. She headed straight for the security office and began unpacking what appeared to be personal items. Maya waited a few minutes before approaching the security office. "Excuse me," she said to the new guard. "I'm Maya, the receptionist. Are you covering for Marcus today?" The woman looked up from her unpacking. "I'm Sandra. I'll be taking over the afternoon shift permanently." Marcus requested a transfer to the downtown location, something about wanting a change of scenery. Maya felt a sinking sensation in her stomach. He transferred? When? His last day was yesterday. He cleaned out his desk this morning before my shift started. Sandra returned to her unpacking, clearly not interested in further conversation. Maya walked back to her desk in a daze. Marcus had transferred? Had her prank really upset him so much that he decided to leave? But he had seemed fine yesterday, even amused by what she had done. The gift bag suddenly felt heavy in her hands, and she wondered if it had been his way of saying goodbye, rather than making peace. For the rest of the day, Maya couldn't concentrate on her work. She kept replaying her interactions with Marcus, wondering if she had missed signs of his displeasure. Maybe his friendly demeanor had been an act, a way to avoid confrontation on his last day. As closing time approached, Maya realized that she might never see Marcus again to properly apologize or explain that her prank had come from a place of playful affection rather than malice. The thought that she might have driven him away from a job he seemed to enjoy made her feel terrible. She was packing up her desk when Sandra approached with a sealed envelope. "Marcus asked me to give this to you," Sandra said, handing over the envelope before returning to the security office. Maya's hands trembled slightly as she opened the envelope, hoping it would provide some clarity about Marcus's sudden departure. Maya unfolded the letter with trembling hands, her heart pounding as she prepared for what might be an angry farewell or a formal complaint about her behavior. But as she read Marcus's neat handwriting, her confusion only deepened. "Dear Maya," the letter began, "I hope you won't be too disappointed that our game has to continue at a different location. The downtown mall has been trying to recruit me for months, and your little prank reminded me that life is too short to avoid new adventures. Consider this round one. I'll be in touch soon. Marcus, P.S. Check your car." Maya read the letter 3 times, trying to understand what Marcus meant by round one and why he wanted her to check her car. The parking garage was dimly lit at this time of evening, and as she walked toward her small blue Honda, she noticed something odd about its appearance. As she got closer, Maya's mouth dropped open. Someone had covered her entire car with fake mustaches. They were stuck to every surface: the hood, the roof, the doors, the windows. Hundreds of them, all slightly different sizes and colors, creating a bizarre fuzzy coating that made her car look like some sort of hairy creature. Maya walked around her car in amazement, trying to process what she was seeing. It must have taken hours to apply all these mustaches, and the adhesive looked strong enough that they wouldn't come off easily. She had to admire Marcus's dedication to his revenge, even as she wondered how she was going to explain this to her neighbors. A small note was tucked under her windshield wiper. Maya carefully removed it, trying not to disturb too many of the fake mustaches in the process. The note was brief. "Now we're even. Enjoy the drive home." Despite her shock, Maya couldn't help but laugh. Marcus had certainly gotten her back, and he had done it with style. She took several photos of her car with her phone, knowing that nobody would believe this story without visual evidence. The drive home was an adventure in itself. Other drivers stared, pointed, and some even took pictures at red lights. Maya found herself waving and smiling at the attention, embracing the absurdity of her situation. She had to admit that Marcus had won this round decisively. Removing the mustaches took Maya most of the weekend. Some came off easily, while others required careful scraping and cleaning solution. Her neighbors were initially confused, then amused, as they watched her methodically demustaching her vehicle. Mrs. Peterson from next door even brought her lemonade and offered to help, claiming it looked like fun. By Monday morning, Maya's car was back to normal. But she couldn't stop thinking about Marcus's letter. What did he mean when he said he would be in touch soon? And why had he referred to this as round one? The whole situation had taken a turn she never could have anticipated. At work, Sandra had settled into Marcus's old routine, but the dynamic was completely different. She was efficient and professional, but there was no personality behind her interactions. Maya found herself missing Marcus's quiet presence and even his serious demeanor. The mall felt different without him. 2 weeks passed without any word from Marcus. Maya began to think that maybe his letter had just been his way of saying goodbye with humor, rather than anger. She was getting used to the new normal when something unexpected happened during her lunch break. Maya usually ate her sandwich in the small employee break room behind the customer service counter. As she was finishing her meal and scrolling through her phone, she heard someone clear their throat behind her. She turned to see a delivery person holding a large box. "Maya Rodriguez?" the delivery person asked. "That's me," Maya replied, confused. She hadn't ordered anything to be delivered to work. The box was surprisingly heavy and there was no return address, just a small card that read, "Round 2 begins now. Good luck. A friend." Maya's heart started racing as she realized this must be from Marcus. Back at her desk, Maya carefully opened the box. Inside, she found what appeared to be a professional quality hair care kit. Expensive shampoo, conditioner, styling products, and several high-end hair accessories. At the bottom of the box was a gift certificate to Glamour Cuts, the upscale salon on the 3rd floor of the mall. A note explained, "You gave me a new look, so I thought I'd return the favor. Appointment is scheduled for this Saturday at 2 p.m. The stylist has been given creative freedom. Trust the process." Maya stared at the gift certificate, her mind racing. Marcus had made her a hair appointment at one of the most expensive salons in the city. She wasn't sure if this was incredibly generous or slightly terrifying. The phrase creative freedom was particularly concerning. Maya had always been conservative with her hair. She wore it long and straight, usually pulled back in a simple ponytail for work. She got it trimmed every few months at a basic chain salon, never asking for anything more adventurous than a slight layering. The idea of someone else deciding what to do with her hair made her nervous, but at the same time Maya was intrigued. Marcus had clearly put thought into this gesture, and the hair care products alone were worth more than she usually spent on her hair in 6 months. Maybe it was time for a change. After all, her prank on Marcus had led to his exciting career move. Perhaps his return prank would lead to something positive for her too. Friday night, Maya lay in bed staring at the ceiling, trying to decide whether to keep the appointment. Part of her was excited about the possibility of a new look, while another part worried about what creative freedom might mean. She thought about calling the salon to ask what Marcus had discussed with them, but she realized that would ruin the surprise element that was clearly important to him. Maya spent Saturday morning going through her usual routine, but with extra attention to her hair care, using the expensive products Marcus had sent. She had to admit they made her hair feel softer and shinier than it had in years. Maybe this wouldn't be such a bad experience after all. As she prepared to leave for her appointment, Maya caught herself in the mirror. Her long, straight hair looked healthy and shiny, but also predictable and safe. She thought about Marcus's mustache and how proud he had been of it, how it had been part of his identity. Maybe it was time for her to find a signature look too. At exactly 2 o'clock, Maya walked into Glamour Cuts with a mixture of excitement and terror. The receptionist smiled warmly and led her to a chair where a stylist named Rebecca was waiting. "You must be Maya," Rebecca said with enthusiasm. "Marcus told me so much about you. He said you're ready for something completely different, and he's given me full creative control." "Are you excited?" Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. As Rebecca began examining her hair and discussing possibilities with her assistant, Maya wondered what exactly Marcus had told them about her and what kind of transformation she was about to undergo. Rebecca ran her fingers through Maya's hair, lifting sections and examining them in the light. "Your hair has such beautiful natural texture," she said thoughtfully. "It's been weighed down by the length, but we can bring out so much character with the right cut." Maya gripped the arms of the salon chair as Rebecca continued her assessment. "Marcus mentioned that you're someone who appreciates bold choices and isn't afraid to take risks. He said you have a playful spirit that your current hairstyle doesn't reflect." "He said that?" Maya asked, surprised that Marcus had read so much into her personality from their limited interactions. "Oh yes, he was very specific about what he thought would suit you. He said you're the kind of person who could pull off something dramatic and modern." Rebecca picked up her scissors, the metal gleaming under the salon lights. "He suggested we go with something that would make you feel as confident as your personality suggests you are." Maya took a deep breath, reminding herself that hair grows back. "Okay, I trust your judgment. What are you thinking?" Rebecca smiled mysteriously. "Let's start with the cut and then we'll discuss color. Marcus left that part up to my discretion, but he did mention that you might enjoy something unexpected." Before Maya could ask what that meant, Rebecca began sectioning her hair with professional efficiency. The first cut was shocking. Rebecca gathered Maya's long hair into a ponytail and sliced through it about 6 inches from her scalp. Maya watched her ponytail fall to the floor with a mixture of horror and excitement. "No going back now," Rebecca said cheerfully, beginning to shape the remaining hair. "This is going to look amazing on you." For the next hour, Maya watched in fascination as Rebecca transformed her appearance. The stylist worked with confident precision, creating layers and texture that Maya had never imagined her hair could have. Gradually, a chic modern bob began to emerge, with subtle angles that framed her face beautifully. "The cut is gorgeous," Rebecca's assistant commented. "But wait until you see it with the color." "Color?" Maya asked, suddenly remembering Rebecca's earlier comment about something unexpected. Rebecca was already mixing something at her color station. "Marcus specifically requested that we add some dimension to complement your new cut. He said you have adventurous taste and would appreciate something unique." Maya watched nervously as Rebecca returned with a bowl of what appeared to be a rich auburn color with hints of copper. It was completely different from her natural dark brown, but somehow it looked like it would complement her skin tone perfectly. "Are you sure about this?" Maya asked as Rebecca began applying the color. "It's so different from what I usually do." "Sometimes different is exactly what we need," Rebecca replied. "Marcus seemed to think you were ready for a change that would match your personality better. And honestly, looking at your bone structure and coloring, I think he was right." As the color processed, Maya found herself relaxing into the experience. The salon was playing soft music and she was enjoying the pampering aspect of having her hair professionally styled. She began to understand why some people made regular salon visits a part of their routine. When Rebecca finally spun her chair around to face the mirror, Maya gasped. The woman looking back at her was still recognizably Maya, but elevated and refined in a way she had never seen before. The bob was perfectly shaped, hitting just below her jaw in a sleek line that moved beautifully when she turned her head. The color was even more stunning than she had expected. A rich, warm auburn that seemed to bring out gold flecks in her eyes she hadn't known existed. "Oh my goodness," Maya breathed, touching her hair experimentally. It felt soft and bouncy, completely different from the heavy weight she was used to. "You look incredible," Rebecca said with obvious satisfaction. "Marcus is going to be so pleased when he sees the photos." "Photos?" Maya asked. Rebecca held up her phone. "He asked me to send him before and after pictures. He said it was important for him to see how his plan worked out." She took several shots of Maya from different angles, capturing the dramatic transformation. Maya spent another few minutes admiring her reflection and learning how to style her new look. Rebecca gave her tips for maintaining the color and showed her how to achieve the same sleek finish at home using the products Marcus had sent. As Maya prepared to leave the salon, she felt like a completely different person. The new hairstyle made her feel sophisticated and confident in a way she had never experienced. She found herself walking taller and making eye contact with people in a way she hadn't before. The reaction at home was immediate and dramatic. Her roommate Jessica did a double take when Maya walked through the door. "Maya? Oh my God, you look amazing. When did you do this? You look like you stepped out of a magazine." Maya explained the whole story about Marcus and the hair appointment, and Jessica listened with growing amazement. So this guy covered your car in fake mustaches and then sent you to get a makeover. That's either the most elaborate revenge plot ever or he's really into you. It's definitely revenge, Maya said quickly, though she had to admit the thought had crossed her mind too. He's just being creative about it. But as the weekend progressed, Maya began to wonder if Jessica might be right. The hair appointment had clearly been expensive, and Marcus had put a lot of thought into choosing a salon and stylist who would understand what would work for her. It seemed like more effort than simple revenge would require. On Monday morning, Maya arrived at work feeling nervous about the reaction her new look would generate. She had spent extra time getting ready, using Rebecca's styling tips to make sure her hair looked as good as it had when she left the salon. The response was immediately positive. Her supervisor complimented her on her professional new look, and several coworkers stopped by her desk to admire the transformation. Even Sandra, the serious security guard, commented that the new style was very flattering. By lunchtime, Maya was feeling more confident about her decision to trust Marcus's plan. The new hairstyle seemed to have given her a boost in professional credibility, and she found herself speaking up more in meetings and feeling generally more self-assured. It was during her lunch break that Maya received a text from an unknown number. Rebecca sent me the photos. You look beautiful. Hope you're enjoying your new look. Round 3 coming soon. Marcus. Maya stared at the message, her heart racing. Marcus had her phone number, which meant he had gotten it from someone at work. And he was planning a third round of their prank war. She wasn't sure if she should be excited or terrified about what he might have in mind next. She texted back, "Thank you for the makeover. It's incredible, but I'm a little scared about what round 3 might involve." His response came quickly. "Don't be scared. Trust me like you trusted Rebecca. You won't regret it." Maya spent the rest of her shift wondering what Marcus could possibly have planned that would top covering her car in mustaches and giving her a professional makeover. Whatever it was, she had the feeling her life was about to become even more interesting. Maya spent the next 2 weeks in a state of constant anticipation, jumping every time her phone buzzed and examining every delivery or unexpected visitor at the mall with suspicion. Her new hairstyle continued to receive compliments, and she found herself feeling more confident and outgoing than ever before. But the waiting for Marcus's next move was starting to make her nervous. The text messages between them had become more frequent and personal. What started as updates about his rounds had evolved into actual conversations about their lives, interests, and experiences. Maya learned that Marcus had been divorced for 3 years, loved classic movies, and had a secret passion for cooking. He discovered that she was saving money for college, enjoyed photography as a hobby, and had always dreamed of traveling to Italy. Despite never seeing each other in person, Maya felt like she was getting to know the real Marcus in a way that hadn't been possible during their brief professional interactions at the mall. She found herself looking forward to his messages and felt disappointed when a day passed without hearing from him. On a particularly busy Thursday afternoon, Maya was dealing with a complicated customer service issue when Sandra approached her desk with an envelope. "This was delivered for you about an hour ago," Sandra said, placing the thick envelope in front of Maya. The delivery person said it was urgent. Maya's hands trembled slightly as she opened the envelope, recognizing Marcus's handwriting immediately. Inside was a formal-looking invitation printed on elegant cardstock. "You are cordially invited to attend the Greenfield Downtown Mall Employee Recognition Dinner, Saturday evening at 7 p.m. Business formal attire required. Transportation will be provided." Maya read the invitation twice, confused by its official appearance. She had never heard of an employee recognition dinner, and she didn't work at the downtown mall where Marcus had transferred. At the bottom of the invitation in Marcus's familiar handwriting was a note. "Round 3 requires your presence. Don't overthink it. Just say yes." Maya immediately texted Marcus, "Is this real? Are you actually inviting me to a work event?" His response came back within minutes. "It's as real as your fake mustache was. Will you come?" Maya stared at her phone, realizing that this invitation represented a significant escalation in whatever was happening between them. Accepting would mean seeing Marcus again face to face, something she had been both hoping for and dreading since his transfer. After thinking about it for the rest of her shift, Maya decided to take the risk. She texted back, "I'll be there. but I'm wearing something with pockets in case I need to hide from your next prank." "Good thinking," Marcus replied. "The car will pick you up at 6:30. Saturday evening, Maya stood in front of her bedroom mirror, adjusting her black dress for the 10th time. It was the most formal outfit she owned, purchased for her college graduation ceremony 2 years earlier. Her new hairstyle looked perfect, with the dress's elegant neckline, and she had to admit that Marcus's makeover gift had been perfectly timed. At exactly 6:30, a black sedan pulled up in front of Maya's apartment building. The driver, a professional-looking woman in a chauffeur's uniform, confirmed Maya's identity and held the door open for her. As they drove through the city toward the downtown mall, Maya tried to calm her nerves by focusing on the city lights passing by her window. The downtown mall was much larger and more upscale than Greenfield Mall. The main entrance was decorated with elegant banners announcing the employee recognition dinner, and Maya could see well-dressed people entering through the glass doors. Maybe this really was a legitimate work event that Marcus had managed to get her invited to. Inside, the mall's central court had been transformed into an elegant dining space with round tables, sophisticated lighting, and a small stage. Maya approached the registration table, where a friendly woman checked her name off a list and handed her a name tag and table assignment. "You're at table 7, the woman said with a smile. "The cocktail hour is just ending and dinner service will begin shortly." Maya found her table and was surprised to see that she was seated with people she didn't recognize. The other guests introduced themselves as employees from various stores and administrative offices in the downtown mall. They were all friendly and seemed genuinely pleased to meet her, though Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something was unusual about the whole situation. As the dinner service began, Maya scanned the room looking for Marcus. She spotted him, across the dining area, looking handsome in a dark suit and talking animatedly with a group of colleagues. When their eyes met, he raised his glass in a small toast and smiled, but he didn't approach her table. The meal was delicious, and Maya found herself enjoying the conversation with her table mates. They were interesting people with diverse backgrounds, and she was having such a good time that she almost forgot about her nervousness regarding Marcus's mysterious third round. After the main course, the mall's general manager took the stage to begin the recognition portion of the evening. He thanked various employees for their contributions and presented several awards for outstanding service. Maya applauded along with everyone else, still puzzled about why she had been invited to this event. "Now," the general manager continued, "we have a special recognition tonight that's a bit different from our usual awards. One of our security team members has requested permission to acknowledge someone who has had a significant positive impact on his professional development." Maya's heart started racing as she realized where this might be heading. Marcus Thompson has asked to say a few words about the importance of maintaining a sense of humor and taking creative risks in our work environment. Maya watched in amazement as Marcus walked onto the stage looking confident and comfortable with public speaking. He adjusted the microphone and smiled at the audience. "Good evening, everyone. Most of you know me as the guy who takes security very seriously, which is true. But recently I was reminded by a colleague that taking your job seriously doesn't mean you have to take yourself too seriously." Maya felt her cheeks burning as Marcus continued. "A few weeks ago, someone played a harmless prank on me that initially embarrassed me, but ultimately taught me a valuable lesson about the importance of laughter and connection in the workplace. That prank led to some self-reflection that resulted in my decision to accept the transfer to this location, where I found new challenges and opportunities." The audience was listening attentively, clearly engaged by Marcus's unexpected speech. "I wanted to find a way to thank the person who taught me this lesson, and I thought the best way to do that would be to show her that her playful spirit had been heard and appreciated. So I orchestrated a few return pranks of my own." Maya realized that every person at her table was looking at her with knowing smiles. They had all been in on this somehow. "Maya Rodriguez," Marcus said, looking directly at her across the room. "Would you please join me up here?" The room erupted in applause as Maya sat frozen in her chair, her face burning with embarrassment and excitement. Her tablemates encouraged her to stand up, and somehow she found herself walking toward the stage on unsteady legs. Marcus extended his hand to help Maya up the steps to the stage, his warm smile doing little to calm her racing heart. As she stood beside him in front of the crowd of strangers, Maya felt simultaneously mortified and thrilled. The room full of well-dressed mall employees was looking at her with amused anticipation, clearly waiting to see what would happen next. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus said, his voice carrying easily through the sound system, "I'd like you to meet Maya Rodriguez, the most creative prankster I've ever encountered. Maya works at our sister location, Greenfield Mall, and she has a talent for finding humor in everyday situations." Maya managed a nervous wave at the audience, still trying to process the fact that Marcus had somehow arranged this entire elaborate event as part of his revenge scheme. The logistics alone must have been incredibly complicated. "Now, Maya," Marcus continued, turning to face her directly, "you've been very patient with my return pranks, the car decorating, the salon appointment, and now this dinner. But I have one final surprise for you, and I think you're going to find it interesting." Marcus gestured to someone off stage, and Maya watched in amazement as two people wheeled out a large covered easel. Her heart pounded as she wondered what could possibly be hidden under the black cloth. "Maya, you gave me a fake mustache which made me realize I had been hiding behind my real one for years, using it as a shield to keep people at a distance. Your playful gesture helped me understand that I was missing out on genuine connections because I was too afraid to show my authentic self." The audience was listening intently, and Maya noticed that several people seemed genuinely moved by Marcus's words. "So I decided that my final surprise should involve showing you something authentic about myself, something I've never shared with anyone at work." Marcus walked over to the covered easel. "For the past 5 years, I've been taking art classes in the evenings. It started as a way to manage stress, but it became a real passion." Marcus pulled away the black cloth, revealing a stunning portrait of Maya. It wasn't a photograph or a realistic rendering, but rather an artistic interpretation that captured her personality in a way that was both flattering and deeply personal. The painting showed her with her new hairstyle, but the artist had emphasized the sparkle in her eyes and the mischievous curve of her smile that suggested her playful nature. Maya stared at the portrait, speechless. The painting was beautiful, but more than that, it showed that Marcus had been paying attention to details about her that she hadn't even realized were visible. The way he had captured her expression suggested that he saw qualities in her that went beyond their simple prank exchange. "Marcus," Maya whispered, forgetting that she was standing in front of a room full of people. "When did you paint this?" "I started it the day after the mustache incident," Marcus replied, his voice softer now. "I realized that in all the months we worked in the same building, I had never really looked at you. I mean, I had seen you, but I hadn't noticed the way you light up when you're amused by something, or how you try to hide your smile when you're planning some kind of mischief." Maya felt tears welling up in her eyes as she looked between Marcus and the portrait. She had expected another prank, but this felt like something much more significant. "The truth is," Marcus continued, "your fake mustache prank didn't just teach me not to take myself too seriously. It made me realize that I had been so focused on maintaining my professional image that I was missing opportunities to connect with interesting people. Like you." The audience was completely silent now, and Maya realized that everyone in the room was witnessing what felt like a very personal moment between her and Marcus. "So," Marcus said, reaching into his jacket pocket, "I have one final question for you." Maya's breath caught as Marcus pulled out what appeared to be an envelope rather than the small box she had momentarily feared it might be. "Maya Rodriguez, would you like to go on a real date with me? Not as part of a prank war, not as revenge for anything, just as two people who might enjoy getting to know each other better." Maya laughed through her tears, relief and happiness washing over her in equal measure. "Are you asking me out in front of all these people? I figured after everything we've put each other through, we might as well make it memorable," Marcus replied with a grin. "Yes," Maya said, loud enough for the entire room to hear. "But I get to pick the restaurant, and if you try to prank me during dinner, I'm ordering the most expensive thing on the menu." The audience erupted in applause and laughter, and Marcus stepped closer to Maya, speaking quietly so only she could hear. "Deal. But I should warn you, I'm completely out of prank ideas. You've exhausted my creativity." "Good," Maya replied, "because I've been working on some new material." Marcus laughed and shook his head. "What have I gotten myself into?" As they walked off the stage together, Maya felt like her life had taken a completely unexpected turn. What had started as a simple workplace prank had somehow evolved into something that felt like the beginning of a real relationship. She thought about the fake mustache that had started it all, now sitting in a drawer at home, and realized that sometimes the smallest actions can lead to the most significant changes. The evening ended with Marcus driving Maya home in his own car, the chauffeur having been part of his elaborate dinner theater. They talked and laughed during the drive, discussing everything from their favorite restaurants to their most embarrassing moments. Maya felt comfortable with Marcus in a way that surprised her, as if the weeks of text messages had created a foundation for genuine friendship that could now grow into something more. As Marcus walked her to her apartment door, Maya turned to face him with a smile. "I have to ask," she said, "was any of tonight real? The employee recognition dinner, the award ceremony?" Marcus grinned sheepishly. "The dinner was real, but I may have exaggerated its significance. I convinced my manager to let me organize a team-building event, and I invited some friends from other stores to fill out the crowd. The portrait presentation was definitely not part of the original agenda." Maya shook her head in amazement. "You are much more devious than I gave you credit for." "I learned from the best," Marcus replied. "Besides, I wanted our first real conversation to be special." As Maya unlocked her apartment door, she realized that Marcus's elaborate revenge scheme had accomplished something she never could have expected. It had shown her that taking creative risks could lead to wonderful surprises, and that sometimes the best relationships grow from the most unexpected beginnings. "So," Maya said, pausing in her doorway, "when is this actual first date happening?" "How about next Saturday? I promise no fake mustaches, no surprise makeovers, and definitely no staged dinner theater." "Just dinner and conversation?" Maya asked. "Just dinner and conversation," Marcus confirmed. Maya smiled and stepped inside her apartment. "Perfect. But Marcus, yeah? I'm keeping the portrait." "I was hoping you would," Marcus replied. "It belongs with you." As Maya closed the door and leaned against it, she couldn't help but laugh at how dramatically her life had changed. A simple prank had turned into an adventure that had given her a new hairstyle, increased confidence, and possibly the beginning of a real romance. She looked forward to finding out what other surprises life might have in store for her, hopefully with fewer fake mustaches involved.